My name again is Ayana Lucero. I am my lovely partner's partner. As she said, I am a nursing major at the moment, full-time student. I am not currently working, but hopefully in the next few months I will be. I'm just trying to get the bachelor's degree out of the way before I fully devote my time to working. So that is me. So today, I am also part of the Legacy Leaders Program, and we are doing a presentation today on stress and time management. Now, can anyone tell me how that could possibly relate to the title you see on the slide? But I studied for hours. What happened? How does that relate to stress and time management?
I think I have an idea. Do you?
I do too, but I want to hear your idea.
Well, for if you have never asked yourself this question or anything that relates to this question, we applaud you.
Seriously.
And we want to say, please teach us what you know. But for those of you who have asked this question and thought, what happened? We here have teamed up together and we did our full research to help you understand and to lean away from what happened, but to I know what happened and I know what I have to do. We want to we want to hit on the main point of what allows us to ask that question. What is the reason why we ask that question? Especially, as students or even as student leaders, we have a lot on our shoulders. So that question is asked a lot, not particularly to I've been studying, but also to I planned it out, what happened, or I thought I managed my time wisely, what happened. So we want to dive into that to help you understand more, to lean away from that, but to understand how to, even if we do get bumps along the road, but it's a smooth ending at the end.
Okay, so like she said, this slide. Okay, so what is a major cause of stress for students? A, B, C, or D? I think this is a very no-brainer question. We all know what the right answer to this one is, which would be D, all of the above. So if you could not relate to this, again, please teach us your methods because, share your knowledge, share your wisdom. If you don't struggle with your quizzes, due dates, or grades, please tell us and share it. But for those of us who are struggling with quizzes, due dates, grades, we know that if you're struggling with them, that means they stress you out. And that's why we chose studying as the main focus of this presentation, because we know college students in general, we can all relate to how we can do better with studying, and we can do better in terms of managing our time as to how we studied. Like the title slide said, you studied for hours, but then you hit that exam day and you didn't do as well as you thought you did, because there may be some methods that you're incorporating in your routine that may not be as efficient as you thought they would be. So we're going to offer you some more efficient tips and methods today. Hopefully will help you out in terms of managing your stress and time.
But not only that, because we are students first, but we're also individuals, we have our own personal life. So stress for us students, yes, it's also with our classes, even maybe professors or even our classmates, whoever. But that's not the only cause of stress, Obviously, we have outside lives, we have things that we have to handle. We might have family members who depend on us, or we might even have a job that's been dragging us along because we're trying to make extra money to support others or even to support ourselves. So there's a lot that throws into stress. But as we are students first, we wanted to dive in particularly and what causes us to have headaches.
Right, and those would be all of the above: quizzes, due dates, and grades. All right, so that said, like I said, we're going to offer some studying techniques and methods that will be efficient. It's proven by research, and you'll see the reference page in the end if you don't believe us. And so why would this be important to you? Why would you want to know studying techniques and methods, efficient ones? First, we want to ask, raise your hand or comment in the chat, however, if the profession you are preparing for requires that you take some kind of exam in order to get licensed or certified. For me, as a nursing major, I had to take a board exam. I had to prepare so much to take that exam, and I had to pass it in order to get my license as a nurse. So I know that Emma also, her profession also requires an exam in the end.
For me, because I'm going to pharmacy, I have to take the PCAT. As for those who are going to medical school, they have the MCAT. And with this type of profession, it really comes down hard on you because you have to make sure you understand the material, you study enough. But not only that, you got to make sure that you do it right the first time because it also depends of how much money you're spending on it. Like my partner here, she told me when she went to go take her board test, it basically was a lot of money that went into you have to pay for the test, the testing location, even the study material. So we want to help you have these better studying techniques and methods so you get it right the first time rather than waste like $600 or more to have to take it again. So we want to help you balance everything out. But we also want you to keep in mind the reason why you are going into studying, you're going into your profession. We want you to stay true on your goal and your purpose, especially because with COVID, a lot has happened. I've seen a lot of students who kind of fell off the bandwagon. You know, they had to focus more on their family. They had to work more hours because they're not going to class and they got to get the bills paid. So we want you guys to, even though the road could get a little bumpy and the road could, you may not see the light at the end of the tunnel, but we want you to be able to remember, I'm not doing this this is not how it's going to be forever. It's just for now. But I want to focus onto what I can do at the end of the day. Partner?
All right, so I think all of us here, the main reason why we're in college is because we're trying to attain that goal. And from the previous slide, we talked about our profession. And that's the main reason why we're here in college and why we're devoting all this time studying, trying to get good grades, trying to get a good standing in the class, or just trying to do our best in terms of our grades, because we want to work hard towards reaching that goal. And it's important that you have that goal and purpose always in your mind and that it's strong and intact there, that no matter what will happen, you will know what you're here for and what your purpose is. So for us legacy leaders, we had a requirement that we had to make a vision board and we had to place it somewhere where we can see it. Obviously, it's a vision board, so you want to be able to visualize it, right? I put mine by my bedroom because I'm there almost all the time. So I see it all the time, and it reminds me what my vision is and what my purpose is, what my goal is, what am I here for? When you're feeling down and when you're just struggling and you don't want to do anything and you want to just lay in bed, sleep all day and all night, you need that reminder, and you need to be reminded of why you're here and why are you making all this effort and what keeps you going. So yeah.
Yeah, and additional to that, we just want to allow you guys to focus on your goal, to use it as a motivation. Because, we're human, life will throw things at us that we would never expect, and life will get hard. But we want you to be able to focus on your goal, to use it as motivation, to use it, yes, I don't want to go to work today, I don't want to go to school today, but I want that degree, I do want to be able to make a lot of money, I do want to help others, but to use it as a motivation to get out and start, because you want to be different compared to the others who give up. We don't want to give up. We want to continue to strive and push through.
Right. Okay. So just for a little interaction, I see 9 people, well, maybe 7 people on the online thing,
the virtual
world right now. So I just want to ask them, what is your goal? What are you here for, and what keeps you going, and what profession? We didn't really ask. I'm so sorry. Like, what are you trying to work? Why are you in college? Why are you taking the classes you're taking? Why are you here in this presentation, actually? And we just want to know who you are, so you don't have to just listen to us talk. We want to be able to interact. Yeah.
You can turn on your mic or type in the chat. We just want to hear what is your motivation.
Right. Okay.
For those who so for those who are typing or may not want to turn on the mics, we do have a few that are here in person.
Right.
So if you would like to say, what is your motivation? What's your goal? What is your purpose of pushing through and persevering through this treacherous waters that we call life?
Oh my God. You want to go first? Yeah, sure.
Go ahead.
For me personally, is because I want to be useful. So whenever I feel like I'm not doing enough or I'm not putting my potentials into use, I want to do something. I feel like I'm failing if I'm not doing something. And I don't
Right.
want to fail. So it's what pushes me, the fear of failure.
Right. So
So,
she.
in your chat, you have a faculty member that's here to support our students. She's also the HOSA advisor. So
Thank you.
Ayana is a HOSA officer, so that's very awesome. And Miss Anderson has gone to quite a few presentations to support our legacy leaders, so thank you so much. We have other legacy leaders in the chat. We have Pedro and we have Stephanie, so thank them both
Thank
for
you.
being
Thank
here.
you.
And Christian says to obtain resources to help youth. So that's awesome.
That is
Woo.
And
awesome.
Tom says because he wants a career change.
Awesome.
So very good.
Thank you for sharing. So that's great. We all have a purpose. You know, we're not just doing things mindlessly. You're not just here because you were told to be here. Maybe there's a little bit of the requirement part, but you know, at the end of the day, you're doing all of this. You're engaging and you're participating because you have that end goal and you see yourself working hard to reach that end goal. And we salute you and we thank you so much for again sharing your goals and your purpose with us.
Yes, and we just want to say thank you, but we also want to continue to encourage you to continue to push forward. But we do know that, we're all here for a reason, like we said. You're not just mindlessly. I mean, I remember through my experience, through elementary to high school, I was just mindlessly going because it's school, you're growing up, you just go to school. And I have seen a lot of students who fell away from college, but I made the decision to continue for my education because I knew what I wanted to become, and I knew that at the end of the day, if I do want to get somewhere in life, I have to fall back on education help me. So we are here to turn your frown upside down. We want to help you to remember, but to give you some tips of how to help you to manage when it does get stressful. Because I know we do get upset when we're stressed. We put ourselves in a little ball because we're so stressed we can't deal with it. But we want you to be able to push through and smile through, put that frown upside down.
Right. So these are the things that we will cover today. First bullet point, or these are the steps, practical steps that you can apply to your own routine and to your own studying methods. First, we're going to map out that calendar. We're going to plan out your semester or that calendar, your year, your month, whatever works for you. And second, we will try to see what your own study habits are and your routines, what you are already doing at the moment and what helps you. And maybe see where we can improve. And that's where the third bullet point comes in. We're going to offer you some more effective and efficient methods that are backed up again by research. And a lot of students have testified to these methods. So the first bullet point.
I take this personally for myself with this bullet point. So basically it is to download or print out your schedule of activities and syllabus. I know for me, I'm not really into time management, but I do manage because like with life, we may not remember, oh my gosh, I have a test tomorrow, or oh my gosh, I have an assignment due, but we want you to set a reminder. For me, it could be paper or electronic. I actually write it down in my actual calendar, put it on my wall, so I know, okay, in 2 weeks I have this due, and a couple of days I have to turn in this assignment. Or you could put reminders around the house, taking notes on your bathroom mirror, bedroom mirror, or even reminders on your phone to say, okay, you have an assignment due in a couple of days, or you have just certain things to help you manage your time wisely. We also want to dive in with procrastination. And if you do not procrastinate, again, I applaud you because I feel like I'm the biggest one who procrastinates, aren't you?
I major in that.
We all major procrastination because when I tell you, because you have it pictured, you're like, okay, you know what, tomorrow for example, you have an assignment due on Thursday. It's Monday. I got a couple of days. Wednesday night comes. I got until midnight. It's 10:59 and you remember, oh my goodness, I have a paper due in literally an hour, less than an hour. And you start cramming, you start panicking. But we want to help you to lean more away from it. For example, Set your deadline days before the actual deadline. I think you want to dive into that more, don't you?
I do. Actually, let me just go back up to the first slide. If you didn't already know, your lovely and hardworking instructors put up schedule of activities and syllabus at the beginning of the semester, at the beginning of your course. And if you haven't figured out that gem out, I encourage you to find it and to ask your instructor about it, because schedule of activities specifically, it lays out the whole semester for you, lays out the whole class, and it tells you the deadlines of your quizzes, your assignments, your exams, your projects, whatever that class requires of you. And for me personally, I know you can't see this, but the people in person can see it. I print out my schedule of activities and I mark it to however it helps me. I put boxes so that I can X them out or check them off once I'm done with those, and it just helps keep me in track. It's physical and I can see it. I'd rather print it out than keep it on my computer, just because it helps me remember if I see it in person rather than having it in a computer and me just it's just lost in the virtual world there. So, but with the second bullet point, with the procrastination and the cramming, we just feel like sometimes, I don't know if everyone can relate, we feel like school is not our top priority. Sometimes we just want to do everything else but school and our work. And then, we fall into that temptation to just push it off to the side. And some people even give the excuse that you don't work, that they work better if they're under pressure. That is a load of madness because there's research behind it, but I'm not going to dive into that. I'm just saying that you could save yourself all that stress and pressure if you just, like we said here, set your deadline days before, or put in the little work every single day instead of putting the big work in one whole day, because you're just going to save yourself time, first of all, and all that stress and all that pressure and all that anxiety.
Not only that, but for me, I do not like math. I kind of loathe math, but ironically, I picked the major that requires math. So for me, especially when it comes to my assignments, my homeworks are always due the same day as the test. So rather than me stressing and trying to cram in studying plus homework, I put my homework a week before the actual deadline. So I get the homework done a week before, and then the next week I could just study and I could go over what I need to do rather than cram it. And then you may do an assignment that is not on the test. So you're kind of confused. But if you're able to space it out, it works better. Also, we have schedule conflicts. For example, let's say your professor says you have a paper due tomorrow night, but tomorrow night you have an event or you have a game. So we want you to be able to communicate with your professors. We want you to be able to speak. Don't be afraid to ask for help. I know for me, I am kind of a hypocrite sometimes at that point. There are times when I am scared or shy to speak to an instructor. For example, one of the students here knows that precisely. She had to push me to speak to my professor. But it really helps at the end of the day because your professor can't read your mind. They want you to be able to. And at the end of the day, if you are struggling with something, you want to speak out rather than it's too late, because you could be able to pass a class, but if you wait too late, then you end up failing, but you could have passed. So we want to encourage you to speak up. Don't wait till last minute, because you're not doing that much the professor can help you unless you spoke it before. And we also want to tell you, what else do you want to tell them?
Well, I would just like to say that one of the faculty members on the virtual word said that they are here. Instructors are here to help you out. And not only that, we have amazing resources at the college if you haven't already figured that out. We have lovely librarians. If you haven't visited the college library, they're amazing. They will really sit with you and just not leave you alone until you find what you need, until they help you out as best they could. And, it's sometimes it's that pride, that you just want to do everything yourself. You don't really want to bother, or you don't want to be a bother to anyone. But again, the instructors, the college resources are there to help us out, and they're doing their best to just improve our experience at the college and to help us succeed. And that's what they're here for. So don't be afraid to take advantage of those resources and that help.
Yeah, and you also don't forget, we also have a lovely ASC center where if your professor went over something, you didn't get a chance to understand it, go to them. They'll be able to break it down for you so you are able to pass and do what you got to do. So now we're going to lean more into sadly, the inefficient ways of studying. Now, I know I'm guilty, and I'm pretty sure most of us are guilty of doing this. Now, trust us, we're not saying it's bad if you do this, because like for some people it works and they stick with it. But there are others like me where time to times it may work out, but other times I am confused and I get the test in front of me and I'm completely lost.
Right.
But we want to be able to dive in and to show you why these are not bad, but it could be way better.
Right. So let's ask them first. Do any one of you try any of these methods or do this when you're studying? Do you reread or do you highlight your notes or do you take notes? Do you summarize? What do you do when you're studying and what are your methods? We just want to know. Because in terms of research, these are the ones that are on the bottom of the list. Like these are the ones that they don't recommend students put so much time and effort into because at the end of the day, in terms of long-term memory and in the long run, they are not the most efficient and they are not really the best options to go for.
Not only that, but I do know, for example, for me, I reread or you reread also.
Mm-hmm.
But like for us, you just read it, pass over it. You don't really memorize it. Not really memorize, but you don't take it in. You just read it to read it. I'm also guilty of highlighting because I might highlight everything, but I don't need everything. I just highlight it, but I don't actually take the time. Now, there is a little iffy about summarizing. Now, summarizing, there is a pro and there's a con. Pro, you understand what you're saying because you're breaking down to terms that you remember, but con, you might miss what you actually really need. So with summarizing, it's iffy. It's a good method too, but you got to be careful to what category you fall in. You don't want to fall into the con where it's like you miss things, but you want to be able to understand what you're doing. Did anyone here want to talk to us, tell us about what are your ways of studying and how these relate to you guys? Anyone here?
Someone from the chat said, Tom said that he always seems to miss something if he summarizes the material. Like what Emma said, we don't really know. They give you chapters to read. I don't know if that's your instructor, but in my class, they give us chapters to read. And there's no way for me to really know which one I need and which one I don't. And Christian said it is hard sometimes to even know what to highlight. That's also a big one. So what you end up doing is just highlighting the whole page, and it didn't really help you. And sometimes, highlighting makes you feel better because it makes you feel productive. But in reality, once you highlight it, you don't really look at it anymore. So it doesn't really serve a purpose if you just highlight and leave it like that. So.
Did anyone here want to tell us what they
in-person people?
In person.
Yeah, sure.
Go ahead.
I'm guilty of highlighting. I mainly highlight, but I kind of cheat, I guess you could say. I highlight what I want to remember, what I think is important. And then when it comes to like the test, the quiz, I leave the highlighter up right there so I can recall it. I know it's weird to say, but it works. It works magic.
That's good.
No, that's good. Yeah.
It's not good though because I only recall it from like looking at it instead of rather than what I mean.
Understanding. So I also when Emma and I were preparing this presentation, I shared with her how I tend to rely on my visual memory. I just see that that's the case, and that's the answer. I don't know why that's the answer, but I just remembered that that's what I read, and that's what my instructor told me, so I'm going to pick that answer. And I get it, right? I get a good grade, but at the end of the day, do I really know how I got a good grade and why I picked that answer? I don't, because I relied on my visual memory, and that's why it's not so efficient. And now we're going to move on
to the efficient ways of helping us to study. For example, we have understand and remember, and active recall and spaced repetition. Some of these, I'm not gonna lie, I had no idea what these were when I first heard about them. I watched multiple videos of trying to understand, so I got a grasp of what it is. Right. But if it were someone else, I wouldn't. If it wasn't for my partner here, I would not known what any of these were. I would have stayed in the same position I was before. So I think you want to dive into the first one?
Right, we're gonna break these methods down, and we're going to start with the first circle and move on to the second and the third circle. Okay, so the first, this is pretty straightforward. Essentially, there are two components of learning, especially if what you're learning is new material, you've never seen it before, and you've only been introduced to it in class. So first thing that you want to target is that you understand the material. You got to make sure that what you're studying, what you're reading, you're absorbing, and you're not just mindlessly reading information and spending hours and hours just reading text and information that you're not taking the time to pause and ask yourself, do I understand what I just read? Or am I just trying to zoom through these chapters and just to get my work done? Second, obviously, you can't just stop at understanding the material, because you need to be able to remember that material and remember what you understood so that you can pull it out when you're taking that exam so that you can get a good grade. So it's important that you make sure you're understanding what you're reading, and second, to remember what that understanding and that material that you just went over.
We're also gonna take a step into active recall. Now, when I first heard active recall, I was kind of confused, but it's not until I actually thought of it, I understood it.
Mm-hmm.
For example, active recall is a method of studying where you are pulling the information out of your brain rather than pushing it up and stuffing it in. For example, let's say growing up as kids, growing up through the school systems with that, they were just forced the context onto us, and then when the exam comes, you just pour it all out, and then we forget because we just did what we had to do, and then we did the exam, we got a good grade, but we're not using it for the long run. We just use it right then and there. So we want to be able to pull the information to know that we are remembering it rather than forcing it, take the exam, push it out, and then you just move on with your day.
Yeah, so basically when I also first heard about active recall, I was like, well, that doesn't make sense. You want to put information in your brain. You want it in there. You want to push all that information in there. And then active recall is telling you, well, no, really, you got to pull information out. Because the reason why that works is because the very act of retrieving that information, when you try to pull it out from your brain, it actually strengthens the connections in your brain. The more your brain works, the harder your brain has to work to pull out and to remember information, the stronger those information your brain gets. So that's why it's more efficient to try and remember and try to pull all the things that you studied instead of just pushing them in your brain and hoping for the best when it's your exam day and hoping that you'll remember all of them. So if it still doesn't make sense a little bit, we're going to give a little example. We're going to do it together. And say, for instance, you have a science class, I don't know, or you have an English class, you have an article that your instructor gives you. You have to read it, you have to understand it, memorize it, and then you'll get tested on it. Yeah, so we're going to practice that. We're going to read through an article on COVID vaccines because, I mean, everyone can relate to this. Everyone is affected by this virus right now. We're all we're all experiencing this pandemic together, so we figured it would be a good topic that everyone can relate to.
I just want to make sure, can you guys see the article, those who are virtual? If you can, put a thumbs up or say that you can. Just want to make sure that you guys can see it.
They can see it.
Okay, you guys can see it?
Awesome.
Okay, great.
Thank you so much for verifying. I love that emoji. Thank you. Okay, so we're gonna read it out loud. So we're all on the same page. Okay, so.
What?
Oh, okay. I'll start reading. The immune system, the body's defense against infection. To understand how COVID-19 vaccines work, it helps to first look at how our bodies fight illness. When germs such as the virus that causes COVID-19 invade our bodies, they attack and multiply. This invasion, called an infection, is what causes illness. Our immune system uses several tools to fight infection. Blood contains red cells, which carry oxygen to tissues and organs, and white or immune cells, which fight infection. Different types of white blood cells fight infection in different ways. Macrophages?
So we just want to remind you to pay close attention.
Yes.
Because this is not just an example, but we want to make sure you are able to practice it correctly. So we want to make sure that you guys pay close attention. If you are reading on your own or just follow along, but we want to make sure you pay close attention because there will be a little.
We might use it towards the end.
Yeah, we might. I don't know.
Yeah.
We might.
We may or may not use it.
Yeah, so it's a 50-50.
Yeah, but please pay attention. Okay.
Okay, so don't judge me here, but I cannot see the word. I think it's macrophage.
Yeah, macrophages.
Macrophages, okay, are white blood cells that swallow up and digest germs and dead or dying cells. They leave behind parts of evading germs called anti-agents, right?
Antigens.
Antigens. The body identifies antigens as dangerous and stimulates antibodies to attack them. That sounds like a good word. That sounds really good, right?
It does. So B lymphocytes are defensive white blood cells. They produce antibodies that attack the pieces of the virus left behind the antigens by the macrophages. T lymphocytes are another type of defensive white blood cell. They attack cells in the body that have already been infected. So if you notice, I spread through that for a reason, because that's how, if you're just reading it visually, that's how fast your eye works. It's faster than if you're vocally reading it out loud. But this is where we're going to do active recall. So you notice that we just went through a whole paragraph or a whole chunk of the information, and we're not moving forward without first testing ourselves. But what did I just read through? Did I even understand what I just read through? Because most of the time, like I said, with the rereading, we just zoom through it and not really question ourselves and to see if we understood what we read. So
for those who are here or virtual world,
let's close and let's look away from the screen or from this article and let's see, what did we just read?
Who can tell me?
Yeah, don't look at your screen. Don't cheat.
No, I changed it.
Oh, she did. Okay, so what did we just read?
If anyone can tell. Okay, if anyone can say, what does the first part say?
Yeah, just unmute or type it up.
Anyone who are in person?
Yeah,
what does
people
it say?
in person.
Go ahead, Ariana.
The first part, the first paragraph.
Yeah.
Is basically identifying what COVID-19 is, defining what it attacks and what helps it. Well, what the researchers have done, saying, oh, this is what could help it. This is how we're trying to, protect everybody.
Okay.
That's a gist.
That's a very good overview.
All right, for the second part, it was helping us identify what macrophages are. And they produce antibodies and antigens, and there are two types. So the T lymphocytes and the B lymphocytes, what they defend against. So some attack antibodies, and the other attacks antigens.
Right. there's a lot of
red blood cells and white blood cells.
There's a lot of iffy stuff there.
So because we did kind of speed through it, we just at least you're able to catch the gist of it. But, if you're not able to catch the full, that's okay. You're able to catch at least what you're reading. You understand some part what you're reading.
Yeah.
We're not gonna ask you to recite everything.
Yeah.
But at least you understand, because we did go through it fast on purpose.
Yeah.
So to catch you, so at least you understand a little bit.
But the idea is that, after the first read through, you don't really understand fully what you're reading, and there's no way for you to memorize that information because you didn't even understand it. How are you supposed to remember it and be able to recall it? So, but what we're trying to show is that you shouldn't just zoom through the information and just hope and just want to finish the chapter or page, article, whatever you're reading. You need to every now and then and ask yourself, why would I need to know this information? What is important from what I just read, and how can I apply it? And how can I incorporate it in my studying to make me remember it better when I'm taking the exam? So it's important that you quiz yourself and question yourself as you're going through that information in the article.
So we're gonna go back to the article for part 2. For part 2. So you guys got this point.
Yep.
So now we're on this part right now. It says the first time a person is infected with the virus that causes COVID-19, it takes several days or weeks for their body to make and use all the germ-fighting tools needed to get over the infection. After the infection, the person's immune system remembers what it learned and how to protect the body against that disease. For example, if they were, a cold, your body already knows how to fight a cold, so it's not going to affect you as if it was the first time. Because I don't know if you've seen little kids, when they get sick, it's worse. It's like they turn into zombies. It is worse. But over time, if they were to catch that same cold, they know how to fight it because their body was able to fight it. So think of the virus kind of like that.
So what she just did, she read a little portion of the article and she put it in her own words. That's exactly what you should do in incorporating active recall in your study. You need to be able to translate that into what makes sense to you. So sometimes it helps if you put it in your own words and to dumb it down to where you can understand it and remember it. So I know someone told me if you can teach your material to someone else and they can understand it, that means you're solid on what you're studying. That means you really know what you're talking about and you're able to make other people understand what you're talking about. That's the goal. So let's keep reading. The body keeps a few T lymphocytes called memory cells that go into action quickly if the body encounters the same virus again. When the familiar antigens are detected, B lymphocytes produce antibodies to attack them. Experts are still learning how long these memory cells protect the person against the virus that causes COVID-19. Obviously, there's still a lot of research being done because this is still pretty new to everyone. Okay, so now to the vaccines.
How does the COVID-19 vaccine work? COVID-19 vaccines help our bodies develop immunity to the virus that causes, the virus itself, without us having to get the illness. Different types of vaccines work in different ways to offer protection. But with all type of vaccines, the body is left with a supply of memory, T lymphocytes, as well as B lymphocytes that remember how to fight the virus in the future.
It typically takes a few weeks after vaccination for the body to produce T lymphocytes and B lymphocytes. Therefore, it is possible that a person could be infected with the virus that causes COVID-19 just before or just after vaccination and then get sick because the vaccine did not have enough time to provide protection. Sometimes after vaccination, the process of building immunity can cause symptoms such as fever. These symptoms are normal and are signs that the body is building immunity.
Yeah, and just to remember, or for you to remember, how I'm remembering that part is, when you are sick, you have a virus. That's just telling your body is working to fight against so you could get better. So it's all in good works.
I think for the sake of time, we're not going to read through this out loud, but I mean, you can speed read through it right now for 5 seconds if you want to. 5, 4.
Not actually count down on them. But okay, we just want you to get the general idea of what we are talking about so you are able to understand it and practice it. Okay. But now we are going to, because this part, it's important, but it doesn't really pertain to all that we're doing. Right. It was just an example, but you guys get the point, right? Any thumbs up for those who are here, you understand?
Thumbs up if you get what we're saying in terms of active recall and how you apply it when you're reading through a material or you're studying a material.
Thumbs up, yes.
Yes, yes, no, yes, no, yes.
We'll take it from the inside.
No.
Okay.
Okay.
So now we are diving into spaced repetition.
The third method.
What is spaced repetition?
Good question. Okay, spaced repetition is a method of studying, obviously, of you repeatedly reviewing your material at different times. See, this is not really groundbreaking. We already know that it's not enough to just look at your material once and be able to know it and remember it on the day of the exam.
Unless you have photographic memory.
Unless you're really that genius person, that you can just remember it once. I know there are people who do, but those people ain't the ones are here right now. We ain't those people. Okay. So what spaced repetition, why it works, we all know, by the way, that you got to look at it multiple times so you can understand and remember the material. We already know that. But the reason why it works if you do it multiple times is because here it says you allow your brain to kind of forget information in between those intervals in such a way that when you try to retrieve the information, you make your brain work harder to remember the material you studied, and then that leads to stronger connections in your brain. If that does not make sense, let's move on to the next slide.
Wait, but actually though, I'm gonna be really honest. When we first were doing this presentation, going over it, I forgot what the article talked about, to the point where I had to go back and forth to make sure I know what I'm talking about to practice with you guys. But entirely, if it was just one run through, I would already have forgotten. So we want to make sure that we don't forget entirely, but are able to go back to it, because there's something called the forgetting curve.
Right.
So basically, the forgetting curve is basically, okay, let's say you have an exam coming up in the next couple of days. You start studying right now. You stop. You come back in 3 days. You stop. But that is not really effective, because you may start on Article 1 for your exam, but then you go to Article 2. You're not going back to what you already know because you're just going to think that it's going to stay right there. But actually, you need to keep doing it in process, but give time for you to also grow. So with the forgetting curve, thank you. With the forgetting curve, it's entirely essentially like this. As the days go through, use the mouse. As the days go, you tend to forget more. For example, if you were to just study the material when you first learn it, and then you
It's 100%.
Mm-hmm.
You retain it, yeah, sure.
But then in day 3,
you already lost it.
You're
60%.
So you're like, okay, so you don't remember. But if you interrupt that pattern, you interrupt it.
Sorry.
If you interrupt that pattern, you're able to go back to 100 again, and you're just over time going to continue doing the exact same thing because your curve, as you can see right here with the blue, the curve gets interrupted. So over time, you get from 80 to 90 to all again, and that curve is not a curve anymore. It's just like a slight slant, or it just becomes completely flat. So we want you.
That's the goal.
That's the goal, and then that's how you're able to remember and get good grades because you're not only okay. For example, we're not only doing this for our classes, for our grades, but we're also doing this for our profession. For example, me, I was struggling with those words, but if over time I continue, I am going to remember it. So in the long run, when I do have to make a drug for a patient, I'm able to know what goes with what. I'm able to remember because I use the forgetting curve. So I'm able to retain it rather than just pushing and then, for example, pull it out and then boom, at the end of the day, wait, what was that again? So we want to interrupt that.
The idea is that you review your material multiple times, and we already know this. And the reason why it works is, again, it interrupts your forgetting curve. The more you look at your material, and again, don't just read through it, you incorporate active recall, you test yourself as to what you're reading, and you try to make your brain work harder. Your brain is so complex, and your brain wants to work, and it just needs help from you, and you need to be able to, what was I saying?
You see,
you need to work together with your brain so you can interrupt this curve, and eventually the information just stays in your long-term memory and that you'll never forget it ever again.
Well, you might, but depending how many years down the line.
Yeah.
If it's like 20 years, but I'm not expecting you to remember, but you have a general idea.
It'll take a couple days for you to forget. It's in your long-term memory most likely.
So we're going to dive into our active recall example. I hope you guys are paying attention or remembering what we were going over, because now we're going to ask you if you have a device on you or if you want to use your
phone,
your
laptop,
whatever you have on you.
iPad.
This is the Kahoot code. So if you will, go ahead and try diving in. Put in your names or whatever.
First name, please.
First name.
No crazy names. I know some people really get crazy in terms of the nickname. They really put out.
Don't put any just put first name. And don't put the nickname because I may not know you enough to know your nickname.
True.
Put the first name. No Ari Sparkles.
Ariana is in. Is that what they say?
Yes, Ariana, she's in. Yes, that is. No, someone put no crazy names.
No crazy.
Funny.
I love it. Very.
But still don't know who you are. But okay.
Yeah.
Anyone else joining? We'll give it a couple. There we go.
Oh, ooh,
okay.
Nice.
I don't know if you hear the sound because I can't hear you.
I'm me. Love it.
That's good.
Okay, so if you were paying attention, you would know what we're gonna do a Kahoot on. But if you weren't paying attention, well, I guess,
if you join a little later,
yeah.
These questions are not going to be too difficult. It's only literally 5 questions, so don't have to stress about it. It's not going to be too crazy or too long. Okay, don't have to panic now.
Yeah, just do your best.
Yes, I don't know where the sound is. Is it here? Is this the volume?
There you go.
There you go.
Okay, there's the music.
Can everyone hear the?
We might want to change the
vibey. Just leave it original.
We're gonna leave it original, but I like to change it up. Can everyone hear the music?
I mean, you don't have to if you don't want to.
It's okay.
I hear it. Okay.
Okay, you hear it.
Awesome.
Okay, party time. Woohoo.
All right,
okay.
Let's go.
I believe that's everyone in. Everyone is in. Okay, we're about to dive right in. Let's go. Ooh. Who's ready?
All right, quiz.
Which is not related to immune system?
Red, white blood cells fighting diseases. Blue, use of several tools to protect the body. Yellow, the body's defense system. Green, white blood cells carry oxygen to the tissues and organs.
Oh, see, we got
See,
you.
we're playing a little bit. We're trying to.
I knew it.
Ooh.
I knew it.
Those are red blood cells.
we got real 3Gs who remember their information. Good job, and the other 3, good job as well for trying.
You
You
know,
know?
It was fast. We tricked you. Sorry.
Yes. And we breezed through the information. So if it was your first time learning about white blood cells and immune system, understandable that it won't be as solid in the brain.
Especially if you don't need it for your profession.
Yeah.
We're not
yeah,
judging. We got
yeah,
you.
no judgment. Just for fun.
Ooh,
Christian.
okay. Ariana in close second. Okay, John.
job.
No crazy names. I don't know what that is.
All right. Second question.
Ooh, it's a multi-select.
Oh,
How long does it take for the infection to activate the immune system?
Ooh.
So more than one answer is right.
Right.
Yeah.
Or it could just be one answer.
It could just be one.
Could be 2. Could be all of them.
It could be.
Could only be 3.
Did we trick them?
Ooh,
I don't think so.
I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see. We'll see.
Ooh. We got.
I knew it.
Yeah, it's from 48 to 72 hours. You know, because it did say a couple days or weeks. You know.
Right.
But I'm happy you guys
That was
know.
a trick question.
Yeah, it's a trick question. You see, we got you.
Weeks isn't in here.
Definitely more than a day.
More than a day. Ooh, Ariana took the leaderboard. Christian, come on,
I
man.
know. Let's keep going.
Keep going.
It's okay. You're doing great.
Question number 3.
What are T lymphocytes? Ooh. It memorized? One of the people here was like, I don't remember.
Prevents the attack, weakens the virus, or memorize the virus.
Ooh, they all sound good, don't they? This is what happens on the exam day, right?
Hey! We got 4 who said memorize the virus and 3 who says
job.
weakens the virus.
Great.
At least the one says prevent the attacks. I'm happy.
Yeah,
I'm happy.
yeah.
We
Good
did
job.
it.
Thank you. Oh, that was great.
Let's see. Oh, Billy's
Christian
coming
got
out.
a streak though.
Ariana, he might take your place. You gotta watch out, Ariana.
Oh, we got a really
Oh,
close
okay.
fight here.
Question number 4. Oh, it's also multi.
Ooh, multi-select again. Purpose of vaccines.
What is the?
Oh, let's just make them read it. To help detect the strain of the virus, to help build a stronger immune system, to help develop immunity without having to get sick, to help give our body instructions to fight off the infection. You got one answer.
Oh, it's a little tricky.
I feel like they don't have enough time.
We did kind of we tricked you guys purposely on this because it all starts the same kind of.
Yeah, to help. You got this.
Okay, let's see.
Oh!
So.
Oh, that's wrong.
Oh no! So we kind of tricked you guys because we all put to help.
Yeah, so it'd be a little hard, you know?
We had to do it.
Oh man, I got confused. That was like the purpose of the virus instead of the vaccine.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The purpose of the virus?
But we do know that vaccines are basically to help develop immunity,
Yeah.
to help give our body instructions how to fight off, and to help build a strong immune system.
Right.
But it doesn't really help to detect because the vaccines are going against it, so it's not really detecting it.
It's not the vaccine's job to detect what virus you have in your body.
It's your body's
It's
job.
your body's job and the researcher's job.
Okay, let's see who climbed up. Oh! I knew it!
Oh no!
I told you he's gonna take your spot, Ariana.
Good job,
Uh-oh.
Christian.
Even come back to that.
Good job. Oh
Okay.
no, don't lose hope. Don't lose hope.
Last question.
We
Who's
got
ready
one.
for it?
We got one more question. Last question. Strong.
What makes vaccines different from each other?
Ooh, their effects, their materials, or their instructions. How are they different?
No. I didn't mean to
Is
touch
this a
that.
pick one or multiple?
Just one answer.
Okay.
I would have.
Okay.
Most everybody said yes, so yes, materials. No one picked the blue. I'm
Right.
surprised. I'm surprised no one picked the blue.
I know.
But
Good job, good
effects
job.
too.
It's a little. It's just if it's based on the article, every vaccine they all really work to do the same job. You know, to help you build this. Again, we just went over it. What vaccines are for. That's their effect, regardless of what kind of vaccine it is. And the materials differ because each vaccine has a different component in them. So it depends on what type of vaccine you're getting. But they all have the same instructions too. They all work pretty much the same once they're in the body.
Yeah, they're there to help prevent. They're there to help build and to allow you to fight off if it were to affect you again. Well, for example, you're not going to use the flu vaccine for the COVID vaccine. So they're not really the same with the materials. They both fight something,
Right.
but it's not the same thing that they're going against.
Yeah.
So let's see who ended up as the top.
We'll send them a gift.
Ooh!
Hey!
Coming in
Billy,
strong.
second
Ooh,
place.
Billy, let's
And
go.
drumroll.
Ariana. Christian Ariana.
Good job.
And runner-up was Ariana
Yeah.
and then Tom. For those
Good
who
job.
have been on the podium, you will receive a gift from IRC.
Right.
It'll be a surprise. So, congratulations.
Ask Christian what campus is closest to him.
Right.
You can pick
Please.
it up in KSU 112.
So yes, Christian, just type in the chat what campus is closer to you,
Yes.
and then we'll be able to go back to the presentation. Where is
Right.
the presentation?
Pruitt. All right, Christian, you'll pick up your prize from Amanda BA at the Pruitt campus. We will send it there this afternoon, so you'll get it on Monday if you want to swing by Student Services in the J building and see Amanda. She will have your prize on Monday. So thank you.
And you might see me there because I actually work there as a work study. So you might see me there. You might see me.
Awesome. So what we really did, it wasn't just some typical Kahoot. We tried to simulate how it would be, how your instructors will try to test you. That's what a quiz would look like. It gives all those tricky aspects and makes you think you already know the material, but it's so confusing. So hopefully you learned from this presentation. We thank you so much for participating, and I hope you have a great day. Thank you.
We just want to say, for those who join us, you guys are amazing.
Yes.
You let us, get out our nerves. So thank you.
Okay, and before you all take off, just want to remind everybody that Monday, April 5th is the deadline for emerging leaders. So if you are missing items, make sure that you complete them. There are a lot of virtual options. So if you are missing something in a category, if there was a virtual option, chances are you can make up that virtual option. Just take a look around. If you do not complete the emerging leaders program by Monday, you will have to restart it next academic year, which will begin in fall, in August. So thank you all for participating, and we will see you next time.